What's going on, everyone? It's Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about new hires and hiring the wrong people, and we'll get into it right after the intro. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. Okay, so I hear this so often, because I feel like it's something that we all go through as small business owners. You may have had a business in the past, even you may have had your current business for quite some time, and you have hired the wrong people, but you didn't know you hired the wrong people because you were doing a favor for a friend. You were hiring a family member. I've even heard people say that they kind of train somebody in something and then they want to hire them, but then they realize they're not the right person. I've had people tell me that, oh, I want to hire my brother or my sister, but I know they're not worth anything, so I know I'm gonna have to keep an eye on them. Why are we doing that? Why are we hiring people who we know are not qualified? I have gone through this myself. I think every single family member in my family has been a part of my company at some point, even if it was for one day. And you know, it's easy to just try to pull in your family and hope that they're gonna ride with you, or hope that they're gonna do what you need them to do, or they can believe in you. They can be your biggest advocate, your biggest cheerleader. That doesn't mean that they're great to be your CEO or your COO or your financial advisor. That doesn't mean that. You have to really make sure that you're hiring people for your company that are qualified. If Aunt Susie is not qualified, why are you hiring Aunt Susie? There's so many ways to determine and find out if these people are actually going to be a good fit for your company. One of the things is, easily, do they have the training? Like, you're saying that, oh, my cousin or my sister is really good with numbers, but are they an accountant? Are they accountant for government contracting? Are they, are they a business accountant for specifically what you do for your industry? Just because they are good with numbers, even if they are an accountant, but they were an accountant for, let's say, the federal government, that doesn't mean that they're a qualified accountant for what you're doing, for government contracting, for, e-commerce or something like that. My cousin made a really good point to me. I was like, you need to use my accountant. And she's like, well, I need someone that's going to be good at e-commerce. I'm like, makes sense. So just because someone is homegirl, homeboy, doesn't mean that they're the right fit for your company. Also, I'm not saying don't hire family, but let's be very strategic and very clear. Do not let your family, if you have that type of family, bully you into them working for your company. This is not personal. This is business. Look, business. This is complete 100% business, and you have a right to tell them you're not qualified. I'm sorry. I know, even if they had their own business, that doesn't mean that they're qualified. And guess what? One of the biggest things is they may not jive with you. And especially if that person, you've seen how they run their business, and their business, they may be doing well in business, but you see certain things that you don't like. What makes you think when they come over to your company that you're gonna like it all of a sudden? That's not how that works. You have to be very clear about your goals and what you want for your business. It has nothing to do with anyone else's feelings. This is business. At the end of the day, your business is bigger than you. So you got to even put your own feelings aside and say, do what's best for the business. Point blank, period. Stop making these wrong hires just because you got bullied into it, just because you feel bad, just because you're giving someone a chance. Bump chances, because at the end of the day, no one else is going to care about you. I mean, I'm just being real. No one's going to come in and swoop and save you from your business failures, from your, business mistakes. So in order for you to make sure that you are making the least amount of mistakes as possible, you have to make very competent hires with competent people. And for all intents and purposes, you may have hired the right person. They're just the wrong fit for your personality. And that's okay too. I have let some people go. I have disconnected with partners because we just didn't jive on a personal level. And I know, it's business and not personal, but still there has to be some synergy, and there has to be some trust there. There has to be some respect there. Something. You all are like, when you do a partnership, and even if you have an executive staff that you work very closely with, like your COO, and even if you're not the CEO, with your HR people, with your, capture manager, program manager, project manager, if that's your executive staff, like your core staff, you all are almost like married. Like, it's, you guys work very closely together. They're supposed to, predict your thoughts. You're supposed to, help them get to a successful place so they can make your business successful. So you have to take all those things into account when you're hiring people. You don't have to use your family. Like, your family dynamics may be where it's like, this is the family business and you have to do this. That's a separate topic. That's for something that you have to figure out on your own. But when you're talking about starting from scratch, you're a first generation business owner, person to actually do this type of business, or the first person to go into government contracting, and it's all you, and you're starting this thing from scratch, you have to make very, very competent hires in order for your business to be successful. Hire people that are smarter than you. Some people don't want to do that for some reason. I think one of the things is some people feel like those people might take over their business or might make them feel, less than. Like, you as the owner, you might feel less than if you hire people that are smarter than you. But if you think about every other successful large company, that's what they do. They hire like the best of the best if you can afford it, or at least somewhat of the best of the best based on your budget, basically. So you want to hire people who can think of the things that you're not thinking of, or they can execute the things that you're thinking of. You give them a task, you don't have to baby them through it. You may have to train and, teach them this is what we got to do with this business, but after that, they should be able to pick up on everything with your company. That's why you're hiring them. You're not hiring them out of pity. You're not hiring them to just give them a chance knowing that they're not qualified. That is dead. That stops today. So if you do have that, and you have someone working in your company who is not qualified, I don't want to say like Sheena said, tell me to fire you, but you really need to be clear about, am I spending money just to be spending money? Who wants to waste money? No one wants to just throw money away unless there's something like with that specific goal. If you are paying this person because of a very specific reason, then let that be your reason. Cool. But if you're paying someone just for the sake of paying them and they're not producing any fruit for your company, you need to cut it like OT Genesis, like cut it. So, that's one of the things that I feel some people just haven't fully grasped. The smartest people I know, the most successful people I know, they work solo dolo and they're, going loony. And really all you need to do is be very specific and very clear about what you want. So I'm going to express a few things that are very, very important to foresight when it comes to hiring. Communication. I am a over communicator, so I need someone else to be very close to that. If I send you something, I need a response. Like, yes, good to go, understand, clear. If you don't understand something, I need to know, because I am, I guess by nature at this point, a teacher. So if you don't understand something I'm saying, I need you to tell me, okay, I don't understand. Can you come back and explain that a different way? Or, maybe a text, email, phone call, whatever, voice message to get an understanding. Communication is so important to me. Accountability. I don't want to hear no excuses. There's things that happen that totally get. My whole team has children. I have children. So obviously I understand that there's things that happen. Totally fine with that. That goes back to the communication. But when you're not being accountable and you're just like, oh, I didn't do this thing, you see like the really, really angry Sheena come out. And I feel that some people, when they hire people that are the wrong people, they let that stuff go because they have some other type of relationship with that person, to where now they're bringing on more aggravation by accepting what this person did not do or did do to not help the company. So that's really like important to ensure that you're very, very clear about what you want. So communication for me, being accountable, being transparent about what you, a lot of this stuff is hinged on communication, but being transparent about, okay, I'm not the best at that, and it may not come out in that exact sentence, but it might be, I'm not the best at that. I'm gonna hire someone else from the team. I'm not hire, but I'm going to bring someone else in from the team to assist me with that because I'm just not clear. And just, not just letting me think that everything is all good when it's not. One of the most interesting parts of when I was hiring was I started off doing like the overseas virtual assistant thing. That did not work out, only because I felt that the virtual assistant, well, one, the time difference. And then two, I feel like I was explaining so much that I almost could have done it faster myself. And then the language barrier didn't work for me. And this may be unpopular opinion, I don't know. But with me working in the government, I need this person to be on the clock 9 to 5 because that's when the government is on the clock. So for them to work at night at random hours, it was very hard for me to know, like they're just doing stuff whenever. So I'm being reactive because they're working whatever hours they want. I'm like having to respond to whenever they decide to work. And I'm like, I'm the boss. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be the reactive person. I want this stuff to be structured, organized, and you work 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever the case may be. And so I got out of that. Then I got another virtual assistant who was working any hours, and it was a certain amount of hours per week. Still didn't work because I need you to work during these hours. And that particular person already had a full-time job, so that didn't work. So then I'm like, okay, I have to be clear about what I want. I started off with a part-time admin. She eventually became full-time, but I'm like, I need you to be on the clock from this time to this time so I know essentially when to bother you and when to ask you questions and not have to wait for my question to be answered. So that worked out fabulously well for me. My admin that I have now, so the admin that I had then, she's been promoted a few times to program manager, but my admin that I have now, one of my main things was for her to be local here in Atlanta. We had a lot of applications for that position. I needed this person to be in Atlanta because one of the problems that I was having is keeping up with the mail that was coming to the office. And so I need her to get the mail, figure out what to do with it, and then, that's off my plate. That's something that's actually off my plate. I can have a personal relationship with her, like meeting her every month, and that works for us. That works for her, that works for me, that works for Foresight, and it makes it a lot easier for her to understand my personality as well. People have to really jive with your personality when they're going to be that close to you and your company. There are larger companies who they don't even know who, any of their executive staff is or most of their executive staff is. That's cool. That doesn't work for me right now. And so when I did my interviews, I was very, very clear on what I wanted. You can't ask if anyone has kids, but mainly like, do you have any obligations that keep you from being full-time with Foresight? I did have an interviewee, I've had a few, but I've had an interviewee tell me the truth. Like, I have my own business and I, may be at a conference sometimes for days at a time. Okay, for all intents and purposes, that's not a bad thing, but there was just a better candidate at that time. There was another lady who also had a business, but she was like, I just either retired or quit from my job. I really want this part-time position because my daughter is transitioning to college and I want to spend this last year with her all the time. So I'm not going to be very available sometimes, or I can only do part-time. I can never do full-time. And oh, by the way, this is probably going to be temporary for me. So I'm like, I appreciate that because I know I need someone that's probably going to transition to full-time. So, those type of things you really have to, right, when you're doing your interviews, being clear about what you want, even if that means that the pool of candidates you get, nobody fit the bill, and then you just got to start that process all over again. Hire slow. They say hire slow, fire fast, but I hire slow and fire slow as well, because sometimes it just might be that person is dealing with something or bad timing or anything. To get fired from me, I've only had maybe 2 quit, but to get fired from me, that means that you really, really wanted to be out of there. It's like I adjust, but those basic things that I've mentioned and some other things, those things are extremely important to me. So if you're not doing that, then you really don't want to be here. You really want to do something else. And I really try to find people who also have some ambition about themselves. Like, they want to grow in their career. They want to grow even as a business owner. I always tell all my employees, they all know if you want to start a business or you already have a business, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. And also, just don't screw me over, because I want to help you propel your business into, the stratosphere. This may not be your forever home. Foresight may not be your forever home, but I want, I want you to do well in your business too, if that's something that you so choose. So any employee that I have can tell you that I have always pushed that. I've always pushed being, an innovative thinker, to start your own business. Let Foresight be your, your elevation, like for you to do other stuff too, or to stay with us and partner with us, So it's like really being clear about what you want. And one of those things you can do is like kind of write down exactly what your dream employee would be. Napoleon Hill, to think is to put it in ink. But in addition to that, you're being clear to yourself, because you may not have ever written down exactly what you wanted out of an employee. You may have been like, oh, I need an admin. Oh, I need this. But why? What does that person do? What would that person take off your plate? How would that person help you? You know what I mean? Not just I need this title just for the sake of having a title. What can this person bring to the table, or what can you bring to the table for them? Because especially nowadays in 2023, employees are not trying to just be employees and just punch the clock and sit in a cubicle every day. You know, most of all my employees are virtual, pretty much, except for the my labor force is in person, working, doing janitorial and stuff like that. But mainly my executive staff is completely virtual. So, you know, it's important for them to be clear about what they want to do, because they could easily just say, I hate my stupid job, and then they just become less and less productive in foresight. And so, of course, that creates a trickle effect. So with that being said, I just wanted to speak a little bit about like hiring the wrong people. What are your wrong hires? Again, a lot of people will start like at the top saying, I need this. That may be what you need, but just be very, very clear about if that's really what you need. So anyone who has not been introduced to the Circle community, that's our GovConNOW community, our GovCon Moneymaker community, where we share information and collaborate. And we have hundreds of people in there now who are willing to work together and do great things together. And then, of course, my course, GovConNOW, where I teach about federal contracting, local contracting, and corporate contracting. And of course, I have something for my veterans, and we're having a Veterans Day sale right now, all the way through the month of November. So please reach out if you have any questions, and of course, you know how to find me. Link in the description to my link tree if you want to schedule a consultation, if you want to do a strategy session, if you want the course. All that is in the link in the description. So until next time, it's your favorite.